Hey everybody, James here, and I'm back on my bear serenade. Today I've got something incredible for you guys. It's gonna bust the whole internet open. I have finally cracked the last bit of Dark Souls lore. Figured it out. Today we're going to be talking about Aldrich Saint of the Deep. What's the Deep Sea? Find out. I just wanted to say as a disclaimer, this is going to be a Dark Souls 3 lore video. So if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you are already familiar with some of the game and its story. Dark Souls is a series of games that have captivated gamers over the generations, not only because of its uncompromising difficulty, but also because of its tantalizingly vague story and background lore. Whole communities have sprung up around sifting through item descriptions and dialogue to try and piece together the story. Whole YouTube channels have sprung up and thrived because of it. But one of the mostly unsolved mysteries of Dark Souls 3 concerns one of the bosses, Aldrich, Saint of the Deep.
Let's take Aldrich for one, a right and proper cleric, only he developed a habit of devouring men. He ate so many that he bloated like a drowned pig, then softened into sludge. So they stuck him in the Cathedral of the Deep, and they made him a lord of cinder, not for virtue, but for might.
The Cathedral of the Deep was formerly a Cathedral of the Way of the White from Karim. We can draw this conclusion from the fact that the Archdeacon Royce will drop the Archdeacon Holy Garb, which says, "Holy Garb worn by an Archdeacon of the Cathedral of the Deep, a sign of the Way of the White's highest rank." Another piece of important information comes to us from the soul of Aldrich himself. When Aldrich ruminated on the fading of the fire, it inspired visions of a coming age of the deep sea. He knew the path would be arduous, but he had no fear. He would devour the gods himself. This sort of sets up his motivations in the game. He wants to bring about the age of the deep sea, and to do that, he would devour the gods. Some other info we can glean about Aldrich comes from his ruby and sapphire rings. Aldrich, infamous for his appetite for flesh, apparently had the desire to share with others his joy of imbibing the final shudders of life while luxuriating in his victims' screams. And then finally, from the Life Hunt Scythe miracle, we learn, Aldrich dreamed as he slowly devoured the god of the dark moon. In this dream, he perceived the form of a young pale girl in hiding. The harder thing is to find information about the deep sea itself. A lot of people think that it's just another word for the abyss or the age of dark, but that doesn't really ring true for me, because if it was the same thing, then why wouldn't they simply have called it the abyss or the age of dark and not given it a completely separate name? So in order to dive a little deeper, let's look at some deep-related item descriptions. We find from the Deep Protection Miracle, the deep was originally a peaceful and sacred place, but became the final rest for many abhorrent things. This tale of the deep offers protection for those who would worship amidst those horrors. And from the miracle Dory's gnawing, we learn, those who linger too long on the brink of the deep will often slip. And finally, from the deep ring, we get, in the cathedral slumber things most terrible, and as such, the deacons require a grand narrative to ensure they do not falter in their duty, a philosophy to ward away madness beckoned by the grotesqueries at hand. Unfortunately, this does really very little to tell us what the deep actually is. Perhaps in recapping, it will give us a clearer picture. So we know that Aldrich was a cleric in the Way of the White, and that he liked eating people. He ate so many people that he got fat and bloated and kind of popped, turning him into the sludge monster that we see at the beginning of the game. He got so powerful and so scary that somehow people forced him into being a Lord of Cinder, not for valor, but just because of the sheer amount of souls that he had absorbed via cannibalism. We know that not only did he like eating people, but he also wanted to share it with other people, and at some point, as the fire faded, he dreamed of the age of the deep sea and resolved to eat the gods to herald its coming. Those who linger too long on the brink of the deep will often miss for his appetite for flesh, apparently have the desire to share. The deep was originally a peaceful and sacred which ruminated became a final rest for many inspired visions of the coming. This tale of the deep offers protection for those we learn. Aldrich dreamed as he slowly devoured the god of the darkness. In this dream, he perceived the form of a young pale girl in hiding.
I've got it. When Aldrich dreamed of the deep sea, he dreamed of a pale girl in hiding. Wait a second, that means...
We could have had it in the deep. You have my heart and you played it to the beat. Could have had it.
Thanks for joining me, everyone, for my first video. If you thought this incredibly niche joke on an incredibly niche subject was funny, please feel free to leave a like, throw something in the comments. What's your favorite pop song that could also secretly be a piece of Dark Souls lore? And I'll see you in the next one.